All right, so this is going to be our first episode of Holding the Wall. This is just going to be our little intro episode just to get to know us as your hosts and then kind of talk about maybe some flaws or like lack of or the need for this podcast, why we want to bring this to our audience. So my name is Josiah.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Mikey.
And we're going to be your host for Holding the Wall, hopefully for all the episodes. So it's a little dry. Mike is going to be
it's a great
the picture for a bit, working on some job stuff. But my name's Josiah. A little bit about ourselves. We actually Ryan and I met in paramedic school, and we all worked at the same private ambulance company, and then kind of spurted it all off. Worked as a private paramedic for about 6 years. I worked at doing transports and in the 911 system out in Southern California. After that, I started working as a firefighter for Southern California Fire Department, and also taught some ACLS and PALS for about 5 years for a company called Surefire CPR, which is a pretty awesome experience, just being able to teach nurses and doctors and all that fun stuff. So that's just a little bit of my experience. Before that, I worked for CAL FIRE, and I've been in EMS for about 13 years now.
Long time.
And then godly amount of time for a 32-year-old. What about you, Ray?
All right. So as Josiah said, we met in paramedic school. So I've been in EMS about I think we're almost 7 years now. After that, moved on to nursing, worked in IFT and 911 as well. And I'm just kind of taking a different career path, looking into like flight medic, flight nurse, critical care stuff.
Trying to be a badass.
I don't know.
We actually just did like I guess you can call it a training. We pretty much just went out and looked at the helicopter and got talked to by Reach. Yeah, Reach.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually a pretty cool experience, just like looking around the helicopter. There was the flight nurse and flight medic. The medic happened to be one of their supervisors at AMR out in San Bernardino when I was working there. So I was like, don't I know you? He's like, Josiah, how's it going? I'm like, pretty good, a lot better now, and I'm not working for AMR. So
You're like, not working for you.
Yeah, he was telling us some stories, and it seemed like a pretty cool experience to be able to do the flight stuff. They seem to really like it. What about you, Mikey?
Well, sad to say that overall EMS experience, 18 years. Looking at my math is horrible. That's my paramedic. So various companies as an EMT, as a box jockey, from. Actually, won't name any companies because we don't want to give any credit.
Just name them. Who cares?
The now defunct medics.
Yeah, that's how you know like half my coworkers.
With an X.
And then with an X. Not an ICK. Yes. Nope. Be better if the first name was San. But anyway, then went on doctors and then care and then went to medic school. And for myself, as far as didn't want the same stories as everybody else, and decided to go out to Las Vegas, and I was out there for more than 5 years and thought I'd only be there for about a year, and got tired of dealing with the riffraff and want to come out here for some more classy experience.
Yeah, so you came to Orange County where it's just old people falling compared to Las Vegas where it's nothing but drunks.
Yeah, well, here in...
That's the gist of it?
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody here, as far as old people, they're afflicted with sepsis. And unfortunately, it's not scurvy because we're in Orange County, but
falls and sepsis.
But it wasn't until we met in Orange County that we found out we both work for the same company in Vegas.
That's right.
That's right, yeah.
But
it's like...
Vegas will do that to you. 1 year will turn into 5. Luckily, I sprained my ankle, and took me out for like 4 months, and I decided to have a career change after that.
Yeah, it's like EMS is 6 degrees of separation at some point. Yeah. Like, you're all connected somehow, and we have our different connections here and there.
Well, before I went out there, they said 1 year in Vegas was like 3. Yeah. Oh, yeah, more so.
It's due to call volume and how you get your shit pushed in every night.
Yeah, it's like 6 years on your soul.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did a little over 5 years there. Sorry, and then came out and got hired with lunch, and that's when I met these knuckleheads.
I always forget, like, most people think of, myself included, think of Vegas as like the Strip, but then outside of the Strip can get pretty dicey. Like, it gets a little like on the ghetto side or like slightly outside of the Strip.
Yes,
that's true. But no different than, like, I say, like the dicey parts of Riverside County or San Bernardino.
Yeah. Those aren't great. Like,
But yeah, but
that's-
I mean, that definitely was the idea when I applied to Vegas,
what you
right?
wanted to
It was
get.
like, oh, I'm gonna be running the strip all night, and then it's like you get posted out in the regular part of Vegas, and then
like
you're like,
Henderson.
why
That's a place.
why am I here? I was like, it's just like, you know, I think there was this glamorized thing like, oh, I'm gonna be running the strip, neon lights, code 3, all these
Strip
cool
clubs.
calls. Yeah, strip clubs. Well, that was our beat for the company we worked for.
Well,
So-
if you could get to it quick enough, because fire would cancel you.
Oh,
If you heard a call go out on industrial, you were semi-tumescent, you'd run out to your rig and try to grab the call, but they usually cancel you. But
of course
Yeah.
it would.
It was like Bring Out the Dead. It was like, let's go to that call and try to jump in. Like, no.
there was several calls where we didn't make it. It was kind of like, I can't concentrate.
Nice. So that's a little summary of like our experience, but as to why like we wanted to start this podcast, I saw like a need for it. Now, I remember when I was going through paramedic school, I was looking for anything I can listen to, anything I could do to kind of like get some more information that wasn't so dry in the classroom kind of stuff, and couldn't really find anything at the time. Later on in life, I still wanted to kind of keep up my knowledge base and just listen to things that were somewhat educational. And there's some good podcasts. Like I like EM Crit. It's a really good podcast, but it's essentially for physicians. Like it's really elaborate and clinically based, so it's a little dry. It's a great podcast if you're a physician, but a lot of it's over my head as a paramedic. And then I know you told me about Z-Dog, who's also great, but he kind of has a focus, right? It's going to be that healthcare 3.0. He's kind of pushing,
Right.
Stop the anti-vaxxer stuff. You move toward a better healthcare system, and I'm all for that too. But it's kind of leaves a space for what we want to provide, and that's going to be something that's
Easily digestible.
almost like Joe Rogan-esque, where
Right.
it's a fun conversation between friends, but also we're talking about some serious stuff where you can actually learn from experience or from calls or from fuck-ups that we've made. Like I know I'm going to try to talk about it in the next episode of a call we ran that didn't run very smoothly for a STEMI, and I want people to learn from that mistake and learn from this little fuck-up and get better and learn stuff. So that's kind of what I'm wanting to bring to the table as far as this is all concerned. What kind of like, I know I kind of brought you guys into this and I like forced you like, hey, we should start a podcast.
No, I think I definitely had that idea, but I didn't have the vision. So again, thank you for inviting us on this. But I think
as we sit in my living room.
yeah,
I will note that at no point have you been to my house and had a gun or anything that said, hey, kid, you better come out. It was the caboose that I followed.
but even like 6 years ago, going through medic school, I feel like podcasts weren't easily accessible or as rampant, right? So
I didn't even know what one was.
yeah, now you have this platform, but yeah, same thing. I feel like for me, EMS was like a happy accident, and then like just finding a passion in the medicine, and then going down that rabbit hole is how I got into nursing and want to do like flight stuff. I wanted something more, something easily digestible, like our name states, right? Something that you guys would talk about or shoot the shit with, holding the wall, waiting for a bed, something that could probably reach the masses easier.
Yeah, those conversations you have with your
Yeah,
coworkers, like talking about calls and things you've learned, or oh, I got to do this today. Essentially, yeah, like you said, that's why we call it holding the wall, because it's kind of what we want to do during this whole podcast.
Yeah, some of the other stuff out there, it's like you need to be in the right mentality to listen to it.
Oh yeah, I was listening to EM Crit today, and I was just like, okay, I need to actually sit down and try to focus on
Yeah.
what they're talking about, because they're like going hard. And I've scrolled through a bunch of different EMS podcasts, and it's all physicians, which is cool. Like you can learn a lot from physicians, and that's fine. But there's something to be said about paramedics and nurses who actually know that job, know how it's done, have that experience that can bring that to the table. So
Right. Speaking of, also like that OMI episode that the viewers will hear in our STEMI episode, it was just, I think I've restarted it like 3 times because there's always something in even the first like 45 minutes I'm picking up on. And plus, I don't know if you were listening to it or like watching it, there's slideshows on that thing.
Yes.
So I was like, dude, I need to go back and look at
Yeah,
that stuff. So
even sometimes have
Yeah.
PowerPoints, and I'm like, fuck.
I was like,
like,
damn.
yeah, I wish I had Apple TV. I could just pop it up on the
Yeah,
screen
yeah.
and like, kind of go through it at once. But yeah, they'll show videos and they have like PowerPoints. I'm like, well, okay, this is like a class.
Yeah. The other point you brought up too, it's like, you know, going from medic to nurse, and there's always that divide, right? There's always EMS versus nurses. And I feel like, you know, now going through both and be on the other end, there's a lot of overlap that maybe people don't want to admit or fail to admit.
Yeah.
And,
Or
you know,
don't even recognize.
yeah. And so like, you know, if we could bridge that gap, I'm sure there'll be less like head bumping and stuff. So
Yeah.
Well, I want to be the first to admit I'm not very disciplined. So when I see white paper with the black letters on it, I'm like,
I'm going to need you to bring that mic a little closer to your face.
sorry.
You can bring the mic to your face. You don't bring your face to the mic.
Well, the thing is, I get this brown thing toward my face. I want to swallow
You're
it.
used to it.
I'll put my mouth on it. Sorry. Any, like a dry lecture or just reading just a paper. For me, maybe add some comics. I don't know, maybe a Zowie or a Powie there. I mean, and I'll be interested, but maybe I'll go terms that you guys would know that I would understand is pretty dry material. And if I have dry meat, you know, we need to work on that. We put a little dark meat in it. Maybe add a little dark
Throw a
humor.
little sauce on it.
there you go.
So that was one of the things that they like. So during probation for the fire department, we had to go teach a class every quarter. That was part of just our quarterly tests. And a lot of the guys will do the information and content is just fine, but it's like black font on white background and just boring as fuck. And I kind of recognized that with my first class, and I threw in a bunch of videos and kind of spiced it up. And afterward, you know, I was brand new. It was my 3-month test. And the chief and a bunch of firefighters were like, that's a new standard. Like that's where the classes need to be. I was like, oh, thank God. But it's just showmanship, you know. Just make it a little flashier, make it a little more interesting. Like give
Fucked
people
it up for Maurice.
They're firefighters.
You raised
Like,
the bar. You're like, damn it.
There's only so much they can pay attention to. So if you throw in a little videos and some exciting stuff, explosions. That's like was the number one thing. Videos of explosions, and try to make it applicable.
So you
And
just
they
went
were-
down. You went to fonts and you went down just one from New Times Roman, just one down.
Yeah, exactly, and just change it up a little bit. So that was I think we can do that with this.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to disagree.
Something that should be mentioned is that 9 times out of 10, or let's just call it what it is, 100% of the time, we're going to be drinking pretty heavily. We all have a glass of either scotch or wine in front of us. So if throughout the podcast we start getting a little more loose-lipped, or you know, belligerent, that's the reason why. So
Yeah.
the whole thing, we want to have some fun while also teaching you guys a little more about our careers, our field, and about certain calls and stuff. So
Yeah,
that's-
please don't think you're gonna get CEs out of this, and don't quote us if you're gonna do something out of your protocols.
Oh, yeah. And let me add that a gun was never held to my head, but somebody said there might be a 6-pack of Zima still existing, and I showed up. And,
It's
no.
called incentivization, okay? We had to get you here somehow.
This ain't Zima, it's White Claw.
You do have a Truly right next to you, Mike. So, all that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the podcast. You learn a little bit, laugh a little bit, and enjoy Holding the Wall. All right. Thank you for listening to Holding the Wall.
Like I said, YouTube, Instagram, or iTunes.
Feel free to contact us at holdingthewall@gmail.com or DM us at Instagram at holdingthewall.
Thank you to our sponsors and support us on Patreon for extra content. Hope to see you soon. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.